Not go anywhere. Bill Cosby could spend the rest of his life behind bars for a sexual assault conviction that is front page news in his hometown paper, the Philadelphia Inquirer. Actually, it's front page news all around the country. A jury found the 80-year-old comedian guilty of drugging and molesting Andrea Constand back in 2004. Cosby faces up to 30 years in prison. He will appeal the verdict and is still free on bail. He is the first celebrity to be convicted in the era of the Me Too movement. Adriana Diaz is outside the courthouse in Norristown, Pennsylvania, with more on this story. Adriana, good morning.
Good morning. When the bombshell verdict was read, some of Cosby's accusers in the courtroom shrieked with relief. It took jurors just 14 hours to convict the man once known as America's dad. 3 of the more than 60 Cosby accusers walked out of the Pennsylvania courtroom Thursday shaking with emotion following the guilty verdict.
I feel like my faith in humanity has been restored.
Accuser Lily Bernard was there for every day of the 2-week trial.
I'm so weak with emotion right now and with gratitude that I can barely stand.
It was a long and emotional trial for the women who were defeated less than a year ago when another jury deadlocked on the same charges against Cosby. The trial focused on Andrea Constand, who accused Bill Cosby of drugging and molesting her at his Philadelphia home 14 years ago.
Mr. Cosby, do you have any reaction?
Cosby's always maintained that his relationship with Constand was consensual. 5 other women testified that Cosby also assaulted them.
I feel free. I feel free.
One of those women was Shalon Lasha, who claims Cosby drugged and sexually assaulted her in a hotel room when she was 17 years old. She said the verdict is vindicating.
I'm glad that the truth is out. I didn't have $1 billion. I only had the truth.
Shortly after the verdict was read, the district attorney argued Cosby is a flight risk and should be thrown in jail. Cosby lashed out and called him an a-hole.
And a jury has spoken with one voice.
District Attorney Kevin Steele.
We hope that this case sends a strong message that the victims of these types of crimes can come forward and be heard.
Cosby's defense says it will appeal.
We don't think Mr. Cosby is guilty of anything, and the fight is not over.
Just hours after the verdict, 3 more universities rescinded Cosby's honorary degrees. He had to forfeit his passport, and he can't leave the county until his sentencing, which is expected in 60 to 90 days. John.
Adriana, thanks. CBS News legal analyst Ricky Kleeman joins us from San Francisco. Ricky, good morning. In this trial, the judge let other accusers testify. Was that the key?
That was the key. That at the time of the ruling, it really was the death knell for Bill Cosby pre-trial. In the first trial, which ended in a hung jury, you had one other accuser who was trying to supplement what could be considered in that day and age a weaker case of Andrea Constand. In today's world of Me Too, you had Andrea Constand's story with an explanation from a rape trauma expert as to why people continue relationships with the person they've accused, why they contact them, why they may be with them again. When that's bolstered by 5 others to try and show a common scheme or plan where he would lure them into an environment he controlled, where he would drug them and then take advantage of them by indecently sexually assaulting them, you can't beat 6 accusers.
Cosby's team says that they will appeal. What are the grounds for appeal here?
Well, the appeal is hardly frivolous. They have many, many grounds, starting with the fact that the same judge who knew he had a hung jury with one other accuser then entered with 5. You can go all the way back, Gail, all the way back to when Bill Cosby was promised, he says, that he would not be prosecuted. Therefore, he took place in a civil deposition in a civil suit where he made statements which were then in a sealed deposition, which came into this case, including the fact that he had gotten prescriptions for Quaaludes back in the day when he wanted to have sex with women. You also have issues about evidence that the defense thought was exculpatory, including other witnesses that was excluded. And then, of course, we have issues about the jurors, including a juror who allegedly said that he thought Cosby was guilty before the trial actually began. This will be a formidable appeal, does not mean it will be successful.
Ricky, time and again during this trial, Bill Cosby's attorneys attacked these women with blistering personal attacks, calling them a con artist, a pathological liar. In the midst of this Me Too movement, did those backfire?
Well, the defense has no choice in the sense that they have to cross-examine. Being cross-examination is the great engine of truth, but it depends on how you cross-examine. So you didn't have to only show one was lying, you had to show 6 were lying. In the era of the Me Too movement, when a woman's accusation alone is presumed to be true, to denigrate these women, to eviscerate these women, certainly could not sit well with certain of these jurors. It did not sit well with the public. And that had to be the elephant in this room. People don't want women who may have been sexually assaulted, harassed, or abused, whether it was yesterday or 30 years ago, to have to go through something like this. But after all, it's the American jury system.
All right. Thanks so much, Rikki Klieman. And we'll talk more about the impact of the verdict on the accusers with the lawyer who represents 33 of them, Gloria Allred, in Studio 57 ahead on CBS This Morning.
A former federal judge will review documents